There's nothing quite like camping, finding your own little spot out in the woods, sleeping under the stars, breathing in that fresh air at night, and waking up in a beautiful spot in the morning. We are so fortunate to live in such a beautiful world. There are so many incredible places to see, and camping is just the best way to fully immerse yourself in that. This is the Freespirit Recreation, or FSR, High Country 55-inch premium rooftop tent. FSR also sells this tent in a 63-inch or 80-inch size, and you can get it in either the base model or this higher-end premium model, which has a tri-layer fabric wall. It's basically an insulated wall to make four-season camping much more enjoyable. With those insulated walls, it's going to keep the tent a lot warmer on those cold winter nights. Likewise, on really hot days, it's going to help keep that heat out. And then the other advantage of the tri-layer fabric is that it's very effective at blocking light. Now, I've got to admit, when rooftop tents first came to market, I was skeptical of the concept. It seemed kind of goofy to drive around with a tent on top of your car all the time, but they've kind of grown on me even from that standpoint. They give a vehicle kind of a cool, rugged overland appearance, but there's also a lot of other advantages to a rooftop tent. For one, they are much easier to set up than many ground tents that are out there. There are good ground tents that are quick and easy to set up, but there are a lot out there that are a huge pain to set up. And in general, most rooftop tents are very easy to deploy. This, of course, is very simple. There are a lot out there that are even simpler than this. There's some options where you basically push one button and it just opens up on its own. No cover that you've got to deal with. Another advantage, of course, is, like I mentioned, it's got that pad along the entire bottom. We've got the insulated walls, which is a very comfortable environment. You know, in terms of not having like sticks or rocks that are punching through your mat, you know, that one rock that you missed that you realize at 2 a.m. You don't get that with the rooftop tent. That's really nice. And of course, the dark fabric is a huge bonus when it is very bright, very early in the morning. It's nice to be able to have a dark environment to be able to sleep a little bit longer. And then another great thing about rooftop tents is when you're out there in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest, it's late at night, early in the morning, you're in a deep sleep, and all of a sudden you start to hear weird noises. A lot of crazy things go through your mind. You think, oh, is it a bear? Is it a cougar? When you're in a rooftop tent, you feel pretty comfortable just because you're not down at that ground level. I suppose that a cougar or bear could probably get up there or cause some damage, but you feel safer than when you're down on the ground. And so that's a really nice thing about rooftop tents as well. Setup for the high country tent is actually very simple and straightforward. The only thing that's a little bit challenging is removing the protective cover because there are quite a few clips around the perimeter. But once you've got that off, it's a very easy process. The next step is just to extend the ladder, use the length of that ladder to provide some leverage to essentially open up the tent. Once you've got it about halfway open, then you pull on the ladder to drop the tent down and deploy the tent. You got to adjust the height of the ladder to the height of the vehicle and the landscape that you're parked on. And then the last step is just to take the rod for the rainfly, prop that open, and the tent is ready to use. So what's it like to sleep in the high country tent? Well, it's actually a very comfortable tent as far as tents go. One of the things that's really nice is the whole floor of the tent is completely padded. It's not a huge pad, but it's adequate. And one thing that I really like about that is that when you're using a ground tent and you've got just, you know, a little pad that you lay out, usually it's, you know, about 24 inches wide. If you roll off that pad, you're on the hard packed ground. If your knee is a little bit off or your elbow, they're sitting on the hard ground. But with this tent, because the whole floor of the tent is padded, there's none of that. You can roll around during the night and you're still going to be on padded surface the entire time, so that's really nice. Of course, the insulated walls on this premium model are a really nice feature because it keeps a lot warmer on those really cold nights and likewise keeps that heat out when it's super hot. And then, of course, the other advantage of that tri-layer fabric is that it keeps a very dark environment inside. It's pretty incredible, actually, when you've got all the doors and windows closed inside. It can be as bright as it is outside right now, and it feels like the middle of the night. It's completely blacked out, with the exception of a few little pinholes of light coming through the fabric. Makes it really nice on those summer mornings when the sun comes up super early, and you want to sleep in a little bit later than 4:30 a.m. There are a few downsides to the high country. The first one, of course, is that it's a pretty bulky design when it's compacted and not particularly attractive either. It looks great when it's opened up,
but when it's closed and it's in its bag, it looks like a giant block on the top of your car. So it's not particularly attractive. The other downside to that is when you're driving around, you're gonna have quite a bit of wind noise, especially when you're driving at highway speeds. And then of course with that, you're probably gonna see a negative impact on your fuel economy as well. There are a lot of hard shell tints out there with a much thinner profile than what you've got with the High Country. So that's definitely one downside. Of course, the advantage with these is that they're less expensive than a hard shell. But the other downside to the High Country is that it's still very expensive. The High Country starts out at a base price of about $2,400. That's for the 55-inch base model. And then once you get all the way up to that 80-inch premium model, you're looking at about $3,345. So these things are not cheap. There are some good options out there for used tents. That's where I got mine. Bought it from a friend secondhand, so saved a little bit. But if you're looking at buying one of these brand new, they are quite expensive. Now, I've been very pleased with the FSR High Country so far. It's been a really great tent. One option that I would consider upgrading to down the road might be a good alternative to consider if you're cross-shopping for other alternatives to the FSR High Country is the CVT mount hood tent. CVT, or Cascadia Vehicle Tents, is one of the mainstream players in the game, and they're really probably the first mainstream player that came to market. Makes some really great quality products. They've got a wide range from entry level to really high-end tents, and they're a great company as well. The CVT mount hood is one of their more premium tents. It's a hard shell design, so it's got a much thinner profile than what we've got with the High Country model, but it's still got a 4-season design where it's going to be insulated, keep you warm on those cold nights, and keep you cooler on those hot days. And likewise, it's going to be dark as well. So it's got some of the same advantages that you've got with the High Country, but in a hard shell design. Again, it's more expensive, it's more premium alternative, but if you're okay spending a little bit more, I think it's a really nice alternative to the High Country.
So that's a look at the FSR High Country 55-inch premium rooftop tent. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite rooftop tent is. If you guys have any comments or questions on this setup, let me know in the comment section as well. And in the meantime, thanks for watching.